The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Angry Chicken Brawl, our first one in a little while, specifically about the Battle for Gadgetzan. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm sitting here as always with Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. You guys ready? You guys ready to return to the tavern and start a bar fight?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I guess this time, I mean, we assume from like the Brawl artwork that it's always in the Hearthstone Tavern, right? But I would assume this time it's at some type of neutral meeting ground in Gadgetzan, in one of those, like one of their taverns. I'm sure they've got one, right? That's where the goblin with the mustache, whose name is eluding me, hangs out. Talon.
I'm totally picturing like town square, like each of them coming from a different like area angle with like all their like minions and goons behind them and stuff, and coming into the middle to throw down. That's what's in my head.
No, it's in the cantina, right?
Dills are no fun.
Cantina.
It's at Mos Eisley. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like the mean
We all know
streets.
Gadgetzan is Mos Eisley.
Yeah, but the mean street specifically, they've got their like three quadrants, and like where the three roads have this kind of three-way fork intersection, there's a neutral tavern there that Talon is the bartender of, and that's where I like to assume this week's Tavern Brawl is taking place.
This is like that battle at the beginning of Gangs of New York where everyone's just savagely just murdering each other with axes, I think.
Yep, but the only thing you can look at is Daniel Day-Lewis's mustache the entire time.
Yeah.
Much like
Man, I want to
Talon's
watch
mustache.
that movie again now.
I don't. It's way too long.
Yeah, but that
long.
first scene though,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
just give me a supercut of just Daniel Day-Lewis, acting this, the crap out of every scene. And
Scary
I'm good.
as hell. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the scariest bad guy in a movie for a really long time.
I know this is off topic, but since you're, Dills, you are the wielder of the milkshake deck. Now I'm wondering, do you just have like a thing for Daniel Day-Lewis? Is he one of your favorite actors?
Yes, absolutely. Ever since my left foot, man. Me and I call him D.D. Lewis. Me and D.D. Lewis, that's my boy.
You're not on a first name basis. You're on a nickname basis.
Exactly. Sometimes I call him Dub D. Lewis, but yeah, me.
D squared Lewis. All right.
Wow.
All right. Anyway, so interesting brawl this week. I think we're all going to have a bit of a critique right off the bat here, which is in this brawl, the Battle for Gadgetzan, we get one of three possible gang themed decks to play as. So there's not like a big twist or anything that can't really be accomplished in a normal game of Hearthstone with this brawl. It's just kind of three decks showcasing the three gangs with some additional VO, which is cool as long as you don't play it too many times. But why a week after, more than a week after the launch of Mean Streets of Gadgetzan? This seems like the thing that because let's see, when Brawl first came out, was it TGT that we got a Brawl the week before it came out? That yes, it was, because it was the Joust deck versus the Inspire deck.
Yeah.
And it felt very similar to, say, the Arena thing with
GVG.
Goblins versus Gnomes. Yeah, where it was like, here's a chance to mess with the cards before they actually come out. This would have been amazing because a lot of people were very excited about Dragon Priest.
Yes.
And here you showcase it. People were very excited about Grimy Goons Paladin, and here you kind of showcase it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Jade Golems, everyone was wondering how that was actually going to work. But now that we've all kind of seen it, right, on the ladder, to then revisit it in a brawl is, it's not terrible. I'm not going to get on Blizzard's case about it, but it is a it is a bit of poor timing, right?
It's odd timing, yeah.
Yeah, this would have been fantastic. We know the cards worked because we played with them at BlizzCon, right? So we know the cards actually physically worked. And yeah, the timing would have been amazing. Like right after we get back from BlizzCon, here's this new Brawl. It comes out the last week of November, and then you know that the 1st of December is when we're gonna actually get to play with the cards. So yeah, it would have been better, obviously. That being said, that's it's a little bit nitpicky to worry too much about that. But I hope that in the future they realize like how cool that stuff was when you get to play with the cards early.
Well, that's what we said that we were missing, right? Was that like event before the expansion pack? Like we had all the really cool marketing stuff, but we didn't have a chance to actually get our hands on the cards in any way. And I don't think we did for Old Gods either. Sure. So it's kind of unfortunate that they're moving away from that because it's so much fun and it gets the community really excited. And this would have been a perfect opportunity. Although, like I think another one of the issues that we had with this is that it's Dragon Priest. It's not a Reno version. So that's kind of weird.
You get Aya Blackpaw and you get to play with Don Hancho, but you don't get to play with Kazakus, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's
a little unfortunate as well.
Kind of the outlier.
Well, and I felt like when I played as the Druid, I had like almost every card. Like, I mean, there was like Wrath and there was Swipe and there was Fandral, but even then Fandrel's like new-ish. And then everything else was like Golem cards. I had the Discover card, I had Aya Blackpaw, I had all the like the ramp that gives you the Golem and the actual like the choose one, summon a Golem or put it in your deck. And like I had all of these cool Golem cards. And then I played against the Priest because that was every matchup in this Brawl for me. I was Druid and I was playing against Priest. And they're playing like Blackwing Corruptor and Wormrest Agents. And I'm just like,
well, they are playing the Draconid Operative and the Dragonfire Potion.
And the Dragonfire,
I think that's pretty much. And
that's
well, then there is
it,
the Potion of Madness too. Yeah, but
I didn't see that one played.
It didn't feel. You're right. It didn't feel as new and fresh as the other decks did, for sure.
Well, because some of those Dragon cards are the cards that we've had since BlackRock, right? So they've literally been around for pretty much as long as anything else in Standard right now. So. We've seen a lot of them, and it would have been a lot cooler to see what Blizzard thinks a good one-off Reno Priest. It could even be Dragon Reno Priest, but I think that was a mistake.
Oh yeah, Dragon Reno Priest would have been the deck here for sure.
Yeah,
but I get the sense that what happened here isn't that Blizzard had poor timing and didn't, from a marketing standpoint, understand that putting this out before would have been better. I think there was probably some sort of engineering issue where this Brawl wasn't working perfectly, and it still isn't, actually, to this day. And they just didn't feel comfortable putting it out before the actual release. Obviously, to them, I'm sure the most important thing to get right was the release itself. And even then, we had issues. So, the choice was, work on this and make sure it's right, or make sure that the release is better. I'm on board with them choosing to work on the release and having that be a better, smoother transition rather than get this out earlier. But we are seeing some weird issues with this. There are some bugs. Apparently wins, if you have like say a win with a certain class, people were saying that their wins were counting as hunter wins or mage wins or weird things like that. So obviously there's still some bugs that weren't quite worked out.
Have they been?
So,
I wonder if originally it was supposed to be. I wonder if originally it was supposed to be Hunter and Mage in place of Paladin and Priest, and then they switched it up, and then somebody forgot to tweak the quest reward or something.
It's definitely possible. So I'll bring up like my other two small kind of little issues with it. The Garrett, you mentioned the VO. The VO is really cool, and I like the continuation of story with this. I like the fact that we have these three gangs, and they all have their leaders with personalities, and they're kind of trying to convey this storyline. But after you've played it a few times, the VO just gets tedious, right? So it would be nice if it recognized that you've played through it with that matchup and then just cut the VO out, or had an option to just skip the VO. That would be also really cool because you just can't even skip it. Some people complain that the VO happened and then they roped on a turn that they wouldn't have because they were waiting for VO to go off. And then I think the other issue, and this is a small issue as well, and I understand why it doesn't work this way, is that I would really have liked if this Brawl awarded you an MSG pack, right? That would have made a lot of sense. And, we were given 6 free packs. What's wrong with giving us one more free pack, right? I think it would have really fit the theme a lot better. It would have felt like all tied in a little bit better. So that would have been cool too. But I know that the Tavern Brawl itself is always kind of set up to just give you that classic pack. So again, these are like small ones, but when you add up all these little tiny issues with it, you, I think, come away from the experience of playing this brawl with more of a sour taste in your mouth than you could have. You could have been really excited about this brawl, and instead, like, that's tempered just a little bit. So hopefully the next time something like this occurs, there's some learning on their part and they listen to what some people are saying, and we get some of these issues kind of ironed out next time.
Yeah, I agree with you on the voiceover thing. And for me, especially since I got Druid so often, Aya Blackpaw, she's so annoying. She's got this like, and I know she's
you mean
supposed to
sexy, right? She's so
no,
sexy.
like annoying.
Oh,
like
annoying?
she sounds like a little 12-year-old. She's this like little whiny bitch. I'm like, okay, just stop now, please.
Oh, damn, Joss. Man, why you got to be so mean to Aya Blackpaw?
Jocelyn thinks sexiness is annoying and whiny.
Apparently, Dills
Oh no,
thinks...
she looks fine. She looks fine. I just need her to not talk.
It's become like a Twitch meme that Aya Blackpaw is like a sexy panda now, but
Oh, I know.
it's pretty funny.
But yeah, she's got this like whiny teenager thing, and I know she's supposed to be young. That's part of her story. She's like youngest leader the Jade Lotus has ever seen, and all that kind of stuff, and that's really cool. But then like she's so whiny, and her voice is like grating, and I don't remember any other Aya Blackpaw stuff where I found her that annoying. But for some reason in this brawl, and especially like I kept seeing her with against the Cabal. So you've got this like cool like red mana wielding troll talking like awesome boss versus this little whiny 12-year-old, and I'm just like, stop, please.
You clearly like
just let me skip it.
You must never watch anime, because that's basically every anime ever is like some young child is thrust into an awesome epic adventure that is above their abilities, but they're the chosen one.
Never play Shadowverse, Jocelyn, because every single character in Shadowverse is like exactly this.
Yeah, don't watch Star Wars Episode 1. I mean, I would mostly recommend that to just about anyone, regardless
That's just a
of
blanket
their
statement.
personal taste. Most Disney movies, just avoid them. Out of curiosity,
about this brawl though, too, right? Like, let's
We
not
should.
let everybody walk away from it feeling like we just hate the hell out of this brawl, because I think there's a lot to be said for what this brawl is doing, and it's great for new players. It's great for free-to-play players, because it's a chance to play with cards you do not have, right?
Right, absolutely. The thing is,
and that's fantastic.
The thing is it still would have been great for new players and free-to-play players if it had happened before the release of the expansion. Yeah. But no,
Totally.
I mean, you're 100% right, because these type of brawls come up, and every time we do one of these episodes about these type of brawls, we kind of have the same thing to say, which is, well, for us, we get excited for Tavern Brawl when it gives us something that we can't usually do, so this is kind of boring. And that still stands here. And we always get the feedback of, guys, some of us are free to play. This is exciting because I don't have Aya Blackpaw. I don't have Don Honcho. I don't have Kazakus, which I would say you still don't.
It's very recognizable. Like, on my Asia account, this was awesome because I could actually win a brawl, whereas, say, the one with your Death Rattle minions go off twice, I'm looking through my collection and thinking, well, I don't have Sylvanas.
I don't have any Death
going to have
Rattles.
Sylvanas. This sucks.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right, and that feedback is 100% on point. It's something we typically don't think about, but I'm glad you remembered to bring it to the table, Dills.
I force myself to think about it by playing these free to play accounts, and it really it brings things into perspective.
Yeah.
It's on my main account, the only legendaries I don't have are friggin' terrible ones, right? Like, I was surprised to find out I didn't have Skeleton King, and I was like, well, of course I don't. Why would I ever have that? But unless I open it, I'm not crafting these terrible legendaries. But when you play on a free-to-play account, your options are so limited sometimes when Tavern Brawls come around that aren't the pre-constructed ones. So it is nice to pepper these in for sure. Good thing number 2, no Pirate Warriors, just none. You don't have to worry about those. They're not there. They're not gonna be there.
No pirate anything.
They are.
That's true.
They are
not a single patches to be found anywhere. But then the last thing I want to bring up is if you're a player who hasn't tried Grimy Goons Paladin or Dragon Priest or Jade Golem Druid, maybe you don't have the cards to try it, maybe you discover a play style that you really enjoy, and you can then focus your deck building and collection building efforts towards that type of effort and you didn't know that you liked it. Now you have a chance to know you like it. That's kind of nice. Again, we're targeting free-to-play players when we talk about that, but it's cool. Like, we've all tried all of this stuff already, right? I think.
Yes.
So for us, there was nothing new to be had here.
Yeah, none of these archetypes are new to me. I think Dragon Priest was the first thing I tried. No, Buff Paladin was the first thing I tried. Dragon Priest was second, and Jade Druid was third, in that order.
Sure. Yeah.
But,
so here you go. Here's another chance to do that.
Well, that's the thing, right? They're so iconic.
Some people had the sentiment that they didn't want to have Brawl just be another version of Ladder. And I guess in a certain way, this felt that way to them. It's like, I'm just playing essentially ladder decks. There is one other weird thing, too, and that is the fact that you are using only standard cards because these were pre-built decks. But because it's Tavern Brawl, and Tavern Brawl is essentially always wild, some Discover mechanics and things like that will give you the options of wild cards, right? So the Druid runs the card that you can discover one of the Druid Shaman or...
Yep.
So they find wild cards in that Discover list, which is a little awkward and feels weird, but it makes sense why it works that way too.
Yeah, it's just a polish thing going on here that's odd. There's some very cool polish in the VO, for example, but very odd polish in the fact that the VO can become grading over time and stuff like finding the wild cards and all of that kind of jazz. But
I think in the end you have to. I'm going to call this a successful brawl for a bunch of people that we aren't, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's the issue, right? Is that we are not the target audience of this brawl. And as I was reading through the Reddit thread, everyone's sitting here crapping on it. And I think way down the list, some non-upvoted comment goes, "Hey guys, I don't think this brawl was made for us." And nobody really seemed to care or respond to that guy because they're too busy with their pitchforks out, But this is something that I don't think should be lost on us, is that not every brawl has to be made for us. Not every brawl will be made for us. And this one is made for a lot of people who just don't have all the cards and are excited about this, I'm sure, and having a great time. So, those people, don't feel bad that we didn't enjoy it as much as you did, because if you enjoyed it, that's all that really matters for you, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the people that it was made for. And I think we had, basically, it's the exact same argument as Heroic Tavern Brawl. We were saying, this brawl isn't for everybody. This is for super duper competitive people. Yeah, exactly. That was made for really super competitive people. And this is almost the flip side opposite of that. It's made for the free-to-play players. And I think at least myself and possibly Garrett fit in the in-between, where, like, I'd like to be super competitive, but I recognize that I'm not going to go very far in Heroic Brawl. But I'm definitely more advanced as a player and with a card collection than I would like to play in this brawl. So I'm the in-betweeny. I'm somewhere in between. So neither one of those brawls is made for me. And that's okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would love to see more of this. Just I want to see more of a celebration in game leading up to content releases. I think GVG was perfect, and they've stumbled ever since for some reason. I think putting GVG cards into Arena a week before release was amazing. Do that again. Give everyone one free Arena run. That's really fun. And still do this. Why not? Give us the Arena aspect, have the Tavern Brawl, have everything except for Constructed Ladder be this kind of big celebration, this preview of what is to come, because they're already doing a really good job with their hype, I think. I think the out-of-game hype for Mean Streets, for me, was the best. I really enjoyed it. I loved all of the extra art that they did for it. It really helped, me, with such a reverence for the visual style of Blizzard games in general. It was really cool to see this world that they were constructing. I love that they had an artist on the damn panel at BlizzCon. That did a lot for me too. I thought that was a really nice touch. I'd like to see more of that in game. I think it would just add.
Yeah, we
to
can
the
do
success.
all of it, right? Like do the Arena thing and do this, right? Like just keep doing all of that, because that was so cool and so successful. I thought. To me, it's like, why are you stopping doing all of this stuff, right? Why are we not doing it anymore?
Did anyone?
And I guess it has to just be an engineering thing. I think. I'm sure the marketing team is going, we'll do this and that and this, and it was great and blah blah, and everyone else is like, yo, slow your roll. We got to make that. We got to build all that if we're going to do it. And we got to make sure we get everything else right, like the important things. And, you know, I've worked in a tech company before. It's not the exact same thing, but there's definitely this difference. There's a disconnect between, say, like the salespeople and the marketing people with these gigantic dreams that they have.
Yeah.
And then it's always the engineers who temper those by going, that all sounds fantastic. Now let me tell you how long that's going to take, you know, and then you have to find some middle ground that works for everybody a little bit. So I think it's probably something along those lines. And hopefully as the team grows and they go forward and they get this feedback, they are able to find a way to make all of these things come true. That would be great. We'll see.
I will say that I'm fine conceding that when we're talking about stuff like tournament mode that we've just never seen before and we don't really know what the hang up is. The problem with me is we've seen them do it before. It's like, so we know it's possible. So it's like, well, why did you stop? And it's just kind of weird. What, did anyone complain about the GVG arena thing? Like, I don't recall seeing anything.
I can't imagine somebody complained about it. But again, I don't think it's a matter of like they didn't think it worked. I think it's more just a matter of it worked well, but we're trying to do a million things now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's still some engineering time that has to go into that. So,
well, and I think the other thing too is like GVG was the first expansion, right? So I'm wondering now if it's maybe too complicated or not worth it for them to try to do an arena event. Like when GVG came out, it was very, very obvious that there were new cards in arena, but now there's just such a big card pool because arena's wild too, remember? So they've still got everything from the whole history of Hearthstone in arena. And I wonder if it just wouldn't have as big an impact as GVG in arena did. So they're like, well, it's not really a fun event. Like you may not even see, you know, 2 or 3 cards offered to you as part of the new set. So I wonder if maybe just the
game was a lot leaner
now.
And meaner back then. So,
yes.
you know,
you might have had
there's more bloat now.
Yeah, you might have had like 10 GVG cards shown to you out of your 30, and now we just have so many cards. You might only have 2 or 3 shown to you from Mean Streets. Yeah, and so, like even with the bumped up percentages. So I'm just wondering if maybe that plays into it a little bit too. At least as far as arena, Tavern Brawl, I don't think there's really any excuse because that is always standalone, one-off type stuff, and they can tweak that however they want. But with arena, it might just be a little bit more complicated because of the size of the card pool now.
Fair enough. Well, because they did it once, I can guarantee everyone listening, every time one of these comes up before an expansion, I will still lead with, I would still have loved a pre-release arena event, but and that will always be my preamble to a discussion of a brawl like this. So until I get an answer from Team 5, I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to keep wishing, keep hoping, because that was really fun. So, anyways. Before we move into crazy game stories, let's thank some patrons because they're the reason we do extra episodes on Thursdays when there is a new Tavern Brawl. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/TAC to do so. But on this episode, we'd like to thank TJF, Brexton, Classic_HS, Eric S, Hayden S, Joshua A, Lucas G, and Beth C. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. And now it's time to go crazy.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
Is he ever going to catch that chicken is really my question on that bumper. I mean, one of these days, Dills, like without warning, in my inbox, I just want it to show up just an MP3 where it sounds like he catches the chicken.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna work on that. And I'm gonna slide it into a show with no warning.
We're pretty much due for an update
refresh.
all the stuff anyway.
A refresh, yeah. Oh, give me some warning because my God, that video intro took so much longer to make than I thought it would.
No, absolutely.
Anyways, you can send your crazy game stories or emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. That's TAC podcast. The Mad Carpenter writes in. The Mad Carpenter. That sounds like a dangerous profession to have if you're mad. Like, there might be missing fingers or toes. He says, Happy Feast of Wintervale, Angry Chickens. Last Sunday night, I realized I'm 90 minutes away from the end of the Double Rattle Tavern Brawl, and I had just re-rolled into a 5-win Brawl quest. Oh, okay, so I'm assuming he's thinking challenge accepted. He says, I built a control shaman because the other decks all seemed to be aggro. Hexes, Earthshocks, board clears, and some meaty death rattles like Piloted Sky Golem and Sylvanas with Reincarnate and Ancestral Spirit for some fun nonsense. I love fun nonsense. I matched with a druid and he played conservatively as he had drawn into removal just as I had. I wondered how I'd win with nothing but removal and Ancestral Spirit in my hand. And then the Loot Hoarder came down. My opponent already had 8 cards in hand, and being a fan of Day 9, I realized the one true winning strategy. Mill. I played Ancestral Spirit twice and reincarnated his Loot Hoarder. Mind if I roll need? Echoed across the board 5 times in a row, bringing him to 10 cards. One Maelstrom Portal later, and Malfurion notes 11 times that his hand is too full. His Sylvanas, Moat Lurkers, Fugans, Stalik, and Piloted Shredders go up in smoke. You're a horrible person. He hastily loads his board up with Haunted Creepers and a couple of Harvest Golems, but all is for naught because Devolve is the most fun card in the game. Oh, good God. Oh, Mad Carpenter, you are mad. Without cards or a board, he heals my face twice, declares the play spectacular, and I'm told as the rope burns that my opponent left. 60 gold, never felt so good. That's amazing. This is
I had a few opponents like you, Matt, and listen, this is fine, but you're the only one having fun here. Not having a good time. I went in there with this Tavern Brawl, the double Death Rattle one, and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. I'll make all these crazy Death Rattles, and then the first guy I play against just played nothing but silences for the first, 7 turns or whatever, silences and hexes and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, we're in here to have fun. What are you doing?
You're stealing all of the fun.
Yeah, I ended up winning the game, but it was just frustrating and annoying and not, and then my next opponent was just, we both played all these crazy death rattles into each other and all this crazy stuff went off. And that was way more fun for me, but it sounds like he had a great time. So, hey, congrats to you.
Maybe those were the only cards he had, Dills. Maybe silence was like his thing, and he just put all of his dust into building a good silence deck, and he sees the brawl comes up, and he goes, "Oh my God, this is my week."
I'm not getting on your case. I'm just pointing something out. There was like 2 types of players in that brawl, and they were the fun killers and they were the fun havers, right? And the fun killers were having a lot of fun killing the other people's fun. So,
I feel like that's pretty much true for any build your own brawl. There's the fun havers and the fun stealers, and you're one or the other.
Who play Metal Tooth Leaper, Mech Warper, right?
Yeah.
And then there's everybody else. Yeah.
Well, I will deem this type of play 100% acceptable because this was a fantastic crazy game story. I love it. Because
like the crazy game stories entering like things like brawls and stuff. That's fun.
Yeah. I didn't read this ahead of time, so when I got to the end, because the Evolve is the best card in the game, I'm just like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's amazing. So, Mad Carpenter, you are truly mad. And then thank you for giving us a wonderful story to end this new episode of TAC Brawl on. That's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast. Big thanks to our patrons one more time. Check out the show on amove.tv. Dills, where can folks find you?
Just check out the 12 Dills of Christmas going on right now. Twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. We've crossed the 500 sub threshold, so after we're done here, I'm going to go out and get something special for tonight's proceedings. So come join me. If you have some sort of festive alcoholic beverage, bring that along with you. It's going to be good times.
Fantastic. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at JossPlays, and I just wanted to take a quick second to remind everyone that there are 2 weeks left in our Extra Life campaign for this year. You can go to bit.ly/TGI 2016, TGI in capitals, to get to our team roster if you would like to donate and support us. We are only $119 short of our $3,000 goal for this year, so you can support us right up until the end of December, and I would urge everyone to, because Children's Miracle Network is a fantastic, fantastic cause.
Well said, and way to get into the spirit, Joss.
The spirit of giving. It's that time of year, right?
You're both in the spirit. Dills is talking about alcoholic eggnog. You're raising money for a good cause. I am apparently the Grinch. It turns out, and I still can't find my Santa hat, so I'm really the odd
I was
man
going
out.
to say, so that's what you're going to wear next time then? Next show, it's going to be us in Santa hats and you need to be dressed like the Grinch? I like it.
I'll be the Grinch, but post heart growing. I'll be the nice Grinch. He's holding hands with the
Who's?
Who's.
All the Who's down in
I almost call them Whovians. Those are fans of Doctor Who, not characters from Dr. Seuss stories. Anyways, nonetheless, find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. I'm going to be trying my best to make an appearance on the 12 Dills of Christmas at some point. Dills, maybe I'll talk to you about that post stream. So everyone just go check that out and go donate to Jocelyn's Extra Life, bit.ly/TGI2016. I'm going to repimp your stuff to do my best Christmas spirit that I possibly can muster. So that's going to do it for this Angry Chicken Brawl. See you guys Tuesday. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!